Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I'm here with Janine Morigeau. Janine, how are you doing?
Good, Tom. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Brilliant. Thank you.
Good.
So let's get straight into the show. Actually, we'll do that part second. I've got a question. There's obviously a lot of current events right now, but I've got a particular question. I posted this out on Twitter and on my Rumble. I think you retweeted it for me, which was great. Thank you. Jeremy Clarkson. Okay, so he's a TV presenter, quite outspoken. Yep. He was famous for Top Gear and then the Grand Tour. Tour is 74, which is gematria, which is interesting. But he's had pops at people like Piers Morgan and others, Elon Musk, the old Elon Musk, not the one now that's, helping with the Twitter files and everything else.
Yeah.
But there was a clip. People can go and look at it on my Rumble. I posted it a few days ago. And basically, Jeremy Clarkson was kind of prophesying the future. So he's joking and criticizing, maybe, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe even longer. And he's joking and saying, so you're driving along the motorway, the freeway in the UK, and then you see this sign and it tells you to remember to fill up with petrol, to fill up with gas. And he kind of just, taking the mick out of it and saying, well, that's just so obvious. Why are they even bothering? He said, it's like saying, wash your hands. And then they fast forward to 2020 and there's like this kind of spooky music and it's wash your hands during all the, the events of 2020. So my question is Jeremy Clarkson, is he a white hat? Is he part of the white hat group? Maybe the White Dove Society? Or was he maybe in between and came over? I'm just wondering where he sits.
I'm getting a yes. He's now this isn't a full-blown like where he goes to all the meetings and but he's definitely somehow helping or somebody that they're friendly with or something.
Okay, that's cool.
That big ace, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he would be in what I call the good military, so kind of working on behalf and out there doing stuff for them.
Very cool. Nice. Well, good on you, Jezza. It's good to have you on our team. I met his compatriot, James May. He used to live near me in London many years ago, and I bumped into him for a Christmas carol service, a midnight mass, or was it New Year? Which one did you go to? Christmas Eve, not New Year, Christmas Eve. But anyway, so that's cool. That's good to know. Actually, can we look a little further? What are the other boys like? So Richard Hammond and James May. Hopefully it's a good answer, James. I don't know James, but I've met him.
They don't seem to know about it, or they're not as involved. They're this in the dark a little here and left out. So maybe he's not allowed to share that with them. Okay. One other question about Richard Hammond. So Richard is the smaller one of the three. So you got Jeremy Clarkson, super tall, kind of posh English, outspoken gent. You got James May, which is the quiet one, kind of quirky one. And always wears magnificent purple and pink jumpers. Purple and pink is Donald Trump. So, but little Richard Hammond, he had an accident, a high-speed crash when they were filming part of Top Gear, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And after that, he made a full recovery, but he said his taste was different and also his memory was different. I'm wondering, are we still looking at the same Richard, or was there a change at any point? Did he pass? Did we need to keep his character going, or is it the original Hammond? Well, he came close to passing, but then he healed.
Okay, that's good.
So maybe the physical things are literally a result of something that happened to his brain in the accident.
Yeah. So as it was said, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on one sec here. I'm going to be right back. Had to let the cat in.
or she was going to yell at me.
There you go. Let her in. Cool. Okay, so that's good. So Top Gear guy is good, and particularly Jeremy. He's the one that's more outspoken and kind of the leader of the bunch, and's taken on people, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning. Okay, so I've got some numbers here, which is interesting. So we're in March 2023 at the moment, and all kinds of things are happening, particularly in the financial markets. I've seen you've done some shows with John Claude and others talking about that, but it might be good to get an up-to-date today. But I noticed these numbers, and I shared these with Rachel just the other day. So if you do 2023, that's 270. So 2023 is 270 in the numbers. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3 for the new viewers. You drop the 0 on that, that's 27, that's JFK, that's code. So it seems like it's a significant year anyway. If you do 223, so 2023, but you drop the 0, that comes to global currency reset. And we've all been waiting and hoping and praying for that. Bearing in mind, currency is 107, military is 107, quantum's 107, Aquarius is 107, and Trump's is 107. Also, eternal life is 107, Superman at 107. But if you do March 2023, this comes out to something really interesting, which is 313, which comes to lift the veil from your eyes. And it also comes to Donald Trump's portrait painting at Mar-a-Lago. And you and me and Mark are going to be quite close to Mar-a-Lago at some point this year. We'll be seeing the Donald. And anyway, in his library bar room is that painting. And I did a little clip of it when I was there on the 13th of November, 2021 now. But that comes to March 2023, which comes to 313, which comes to lift the veil from your eyes. It comes to the visionary Donald J. Trump, because that's the name of that's the painting's name, and then the title of Donald J. Trump below. But it also comes to John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., 313. So it seems to me that that painting has been pointing to perhaps this date in time. So I wonder what the cards think on that, Janine. Is President Trump, or part of the codes, because I'm sure there's multiple codes with that painting, but was that part of this plan a long time ago that we're going to see the upheaval of the markets beginning now?
That's a waiting card and says something's going to be worth the wait. Something we've been waiting for is going to be worth it. There'll be celebration. What's the date it's pointing to according to what you're saying again?
So it's just the time period is the month of March. So it's March.
Oh, okay, got it.
2023, March 2023. So it's that whole month period.
Okay.
It says it's 313. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a karmic card. So it's got this big overtone because this is in the past. So we've got this karmic overtone. So something about March 2023 has karmic ramifications. And so this would be in the middle. The two of wands. So I don't get this as promising everything's happening, kind of what you were saying there. Okay. But I get it's definitely a safe thing to look at. Things we've been waiting for, you're going to see a lot of them go down in March.
Okay.
Okay, but there's things to take into consideration. So it's not a promise. You'll see it all go down in March, but you're going to see a lot of things go down in March that we've been waiting for. And there's big cause to celebrate. I mean, some things will be hard. So normies won't be celebrating because they'll just be beginning to see what we've got ourselves into here. But right. Us that have been waiting, I think when we start seeing things actually happening and moving, we celebrate, even if it's the beginning of some hardships, because we know it'll get us to the good stuff. It's like short-term pain for long-term gain. Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting you're saying that. So a couple of things. So I saw it, I'm going to put it up on my Rumble. It'll probably be up by the time we put the video out. But there's a clip going around of Piers Morgan. I mentioned him about with Jeremy Clarkson. They had a long feud for a long time. So it makes sense that, you know, where Jeremy's coming from. President Trump has said Piers has gone with the fishes. That's a reference to The Godfather. I actually did a tweet on that just last week. And my favorite newspaper, the Star newspaper in England, the day after, had
had a Godfather picture, and it said "Gone with the Fishes," and that was just 24 hours after I posted it. Yeah,
That
so
is
have a look
wild.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll look at that in a few questions to see who's behind the Star newspaper, because they always put stuff out. They confirm the shows you and me do together, the stuff we do with Matt Letitia, the stuff we do with Mark and Rachel and sorts. So yeah, maybe we'll look at that one. Let's have a look at the Star newspaper. I feel that they're white hat controlled. I feel that they're alliance of some description, because they always confirm stuff. Always.
They work somehow alongside what I would call the alliance and the good guys, the white hats. So 2 3s. So this is working. They're like somehow they do a creative part of the foundation. So laying foundations for others.
Yeah.
Which would make sense, almost like the signaling, comms, even like helping, because this is like helpers types, and helping the whole thing run smoother. That's what that looks like. And I feel like that they might have that creative license to do it how they see fit. And in this case, maybe confirming what truthers are saying. I mean, right. And they know you're going to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. They know. I've been talking about them for a couple of years now, the paper, but they know. And they nearly did another one the day after. And again, it's on my Twitter, but there was Matt Hancock was being referenced by Jeremy Vine. Jeremy Vine seemed like he's flipped over now, but the whole thing with Hancock and about all the effects of 2020. He's the health minister here in England for people. Can you still see me, Janine?
Yep. Can you not see me?
I can see you. Yes, I just had. That's okay. We're back again. You can't hear a beeping though. You can still hear me fine.
No, I can't hear a beep.
Okay. Excellent. So, but then they had this. I think it was a white hat actor. This would be a good question. I think it was a white hat actor, and the guy's name was Graham Taylor. Now, people in the UK will know that Graham Taylor used to be the England soccer manager. But this guy, Graham Taylor, is known as an author. I've never heard of him before, but he's been interviewed on the TV by Jeremy Vine about Matt Hancock. And he's given the usual British response of, like, I've done everything I'm supposed to have done. I obeyed all the rules, and I don't trust them now. And that's a typical English response, you know.
Yep.
It's almost like he was just morphed from the general populace of the UK. And then he kept talking about conspiracy theories. He says the conspiracy theories of 2020. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm beginning to believe in that. He mentioned that twice. And I told my friend Alan McDonald up in Scotland, we were talking about this the day after it. And I texted Alan and said, bring back Graham Taylor, the football manager. He actually passed a while ago, but they used to kind of take the mickey out of him and call him a turnip head. That's just what the press did 20, 30 years ago. Guess what's on the front of the Daily Star the next day? A turnip head.
You can't make it up, hey? You can't make the stuff up.
I know, it's just brilliant. So the creative, maybe can we ask the people that have the creative license, because they do that, they can come out with any, you hit the nail on the head, they can come out with any headline that they choose to do. And it's not related to anything, but they it's related to the stuff we put out, but they can just spin it how they want. Are those people doing that at the Star? Are they informed humans, or is there an off-world element?
Good question. Surrender to success. They seem like they're human. None of this is not human, but this is interesting. So they're part of the wake up team.
Yeah.
Surrender to, so successfully waking people up. This is a success card. So they're charged with waking people up, and also maybe even patting certain people on the back, which I think you could say they're doing that to you when you get something right, because this card's like take a victory lap. Okay. That's kind of the little nickname to the card, take a victory lap. And then this card's, so I feel like they're also patting people on the back and or confirming, let's say that, confirming certain things, but surrender to. They also have the job of waking up normies. Now, I don't know, probably more things in there. They say that a lot of those papers tell the truth, but they twist it a little, just like raw news, real raw news, and they exaggerate it, but it's actually truth. So when they tell you so-and-so's an alien, probably some truth to that, right?
Yeah.
So that they've been working on those kind of truths since the beginning of those kind of papers.
Yeah, that's it. Many a true word is spoken in jest, and that I think that's, you know, those papers take the biscuit on that. I think I should use that phrase, take the biscuit.
Take the biscuit.
And take the biscuit, yeah. And the interesting thing about the numbers on it, so Daily Star is the name of the newspaper. Daily is 51, which is Jasara. Star is 58, which is Nesara. But you add them together is 109, and it spells the word 17. And it spells the word witness. So they're witnessing, they're telling the truth about what's going on. And also my channel site club is 109. Diana Spencer's 109. Even going back to JFK, Zapruder is 109. So, well, thanks, Daily Star. We'll keep giving you shout outs, and maybe we'll see something from this show.
Awesome.
So I was mentioning about this. I just saw this clip with Piers Morgan, and he referenced Ripple twice. So it makes you think of the Ripple coin. XRP's 58 actually, which is Star. Ivanka's Star, etc. Anyway, Robin, Batman and Robin is Daily Star, the Batman connection with Trump. But so he mentions the Ripple coin. Well, he doesn't say Ripple coin, he says Ripple effect. That's a Back to the Future reference, and they always do Back to the Future on this paper. But the thing that really stood out is he said, in reference to Charles's coronation on May 6th, he said, all hell will break loose. Now, I'm wondering, are we going to see something? Is that a future, even though Piers has gone with the fishes, the entity of Piers that's doing the stuff now, he's going to have to drop comms all the time. We know that's the way the game is played. Are we going to see, is it just a more gradual process? Okay, yeah, let's see what that looks like.
Definitely sending out some message there.
Okay.
And a lot, if there could be all over the world things happen on that day. Because that card comes from lots of different places, not just one. The source of all of those wands are all different. So they're all directed at a certain thing. So they all have a means to an end, like, or I don't know if I say using the right phrase. They have an intention that comes from the same, they want to point at something, but they're all coming from different areas. It's like when all of a sudden they had all those UFO sightings and they were shooting down things in Canada. That week was nuts. Then they had the derailments, and they had several derailments in the States. Then we started looking into about 5 or 6 different things were all going on at once. That's what this feels like. We're going to have a day or even a week of that. And then see this chariot here. The chariot is everything moves really fast there. So things are really speeded up and things are moving really fast, like fast and furious information coming out. Like this could even be, we get because there's a quantum leap sometimes with the chariot. So we might even quantum leap with so much information. It feels like exposure of the royals maybe, or exposure of maybe all kinds of things that have been hidden from us.
Wow. That's so interesting. You talk about, so when you're saying the chariot, it made me think of Chariots of Fire, like that racing kind of breaking records and all sorts of stuff. And also the, some of Christopher Nolan's films, well, he always kind of does it. He'll do like maybe 3 things at once, and they all kind of crescendo together. And when you said that, it made me think of scattering things. There's a bit with the Joker in it and Batman, and it's at a parade. It's at St. Pat. That's it. That's why it's at a St. Patrick's parade, and today is St. Patrick's Day. That's why that came to me. Okay. But there was a scatter approach in The Dark Knight, the one with the Joker with Heath Ledger. There's a bit where the Joker pretends to be a policeman, and him and his guys kind of try and shoot Commissioner Gordon. we find out he's saved later, but it's just disruptive. It's chaos. So maybe that's what you're saying and what Piers is having to put forward. The other thing with that is Piers Morgan comes to 135, which comes to stock exchange. So I wonder if there's a connection with that. Are we going to see maybe a lot more chaos with the markets around that time?
What's going on with the markets looks really controlled, even though it feels when you hear the headlines like it isn't. It's actually been really controlled. And we're so close to them completely imploding, because that's a 9. You got one more. So there's one more big thing to happen that'll pull the plug on those. Yeah, but it's been very controlled. And we've got the Judgment card in the middle and Surrender. I don't know if it'll even last till the coronation, because this feels like it's more a little before that. Maybe it's all Surrender to it's already done by then.
Wow. You know, you just said pull the plug, Janine, and that comes to 150. That comes to Trump train. But pull the plug is a reference in Terminator 2, the film I always reference. Arnold Schwarzenegger says August 29th, Judgment Day, they pull the plug. But I was going to bring this up, but it's a little later, but it seems appropriate to bring it up now. So Rachel, Right Side Blonde, met President Trump on Monday in Iowa. So she went to an event. She got VIP tickets. She met him, shook his hand, and I was talking to her about it yesterday. And he said one thing to her. He said, "Are you related?" Now, "Are you related" comes to 150, which comes to pull the plug. And I was thinking I'm going to bring up those words, and you said it yourself. You said pull the plug. Wow. Was President Trump signaling when he said, "Are you related"? I think there's many comms with that, but was he signaling, or was there anything else he was signaling to? I think he was saying about pull the plug, but was there anything else he was referencing? I'm sure she doesn't mind me asking, because she was actually re-truthed. President Trump's Truth Social channel showed a picture of her. There was a whole bunch of people, but he was there, she was there, and there was about another 20 people around. And then Dan Scavino re-truthed it as well. A different picture, but the same image from a different angle.
Wow.
And he said, "Are you related?" Which is 150, pull the plug. Yeah.
Yeah. Could have also been giving her a pat on the back.
Yes.
Because that's kind of like she takes a victory lap.
Yes.
A pat on the back. And then this 4, so the 4 of Pentacles, also signaling that she's protected.
Good.
So maybe just even insinuating she might be related. I mean, is she part of the big picture? Is she for her to think about? Yeah, I feel like she's being protected, and they wanted her to know. This is really well aspected. This card can be about protective, or you need to be protective, but this card came first, which is a victory. So I feel like she needs to feel secure. She's protected. That's what he was trying to get across to her. Good.
R, and you even get R on the posts. So you got R for Junior, but R is, Rachel, and 47 is John. Rachel is 47 in numbers, not in age. France is 47. All things seem to go back to France as well. There's always this thing about France, and that's where Diana was. Ivanka's done the time travel stuff with the Eiffel Tower. So another thing that President Trump said at that rally, well, it wasn't a rally, it was about education, but he said it was like a rally, it was a rally event.
Yeah. Rally
style event. He said the final battle is in 2024. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, please, sir, let's hope it is. Is he saying that we're done and dusted by the end of 24? Is that the final battle? Do we then get to globally celebrate, and all of this is, truth is revealed, everything's gone, the plug has been pulled, and everybody knows?
Something else. There's a hidden meaning there that maybe he's not being very literal with these cards. This is a very unique card, and this is a very hidden. There was hidden things he was saying there, so we need to dig a little deeper. I think it wasn't so literal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's talking about things less literal, and I even think there's going to be justice already. You're going to see already justice in the public eye being handed out to whoever's not been processed yet, or maybe they're going to do it to their clones or whatever. You're going to see justice served by then. So I'm thinking it's not as literal as you got to wait till 2024 to see the end of this. I feel like there was a hidden thing he was saying there. See, that sword is hidden. So it's not literal what he said.
Okay. Okay. Any feeling, any intuition on what he might be saying with that? Anything's coming to your mind about that?
That card is about deals done in the background, and this is white hat and Trump and or Alliance Trump team.
Okay.
You know, like good military, all of those kind of guys come to mind with that card. And then we've got the two. So a lot of things have been already happened in the background here and been agreed to. So there's a lot of people acting parts.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, that's part of it. And then we've got this 4. Yeah, so a lot of what you're watching, something totally different happens while everybody's busy watching this. So a lot of things aren't as they seem. You know, this audience knows that. But a lot of sleepers don't know that. So maybe it's that battle of getting the sleepers on board by then. Right? Maybe it'll take till then. Also, you could think that you could put it this way. He was speaking to the sleepers when he said that, not the truthers. Right. Yeah. So if he's using 2024, I mean, they wouldn't understand if he was saying it was happening sooner. I think we're in the final battle.
Good. Good. Another question as well has come to mind. So I asked Rachel what it was like when she met President Trump, and you know, she looked in his eyes. And she said she just felt this wonderful warmth. And I was wondering, I asked her about it, and I wanted to see what the cards. So we've established a few times that there's a number of different Donald Trumps all working together. Yeah. Was that real Donald Trump? Was that POTUS? Was that the Mar-a-Lago Trump? Was it a different one? I'm just wondering which Trump was that?
I think it's moving out of trouble water. 7. Strategy, Wheel of Fortune, Destined. Not really saying.
Okay.
It says, basically it's saying for all intents and purposes, it was Donald Trump.
Okay. That's cool.
Channeling Donald Trump, playing Donald Trump. 7's a strategy. So they're using a strategy, and maybe at the last minute, if it was going to be Donald Trump, it got switched, or if it wasn't going to be Donald Trump, it got switched. I often see that, like where right up until the last minute, they don't always know if it's going to be really him or not.
Okay.
So it's basically like they don't want to, it's almost like the universe doesn't want to say exactly. You need to just trust that it was Donald Trump.
For all intents and purposes, it was Donald Trump.
Yeah, it was Donald Trump.
Thank you, Sarah. It was good to see you there.
Yeah.
I've got another question about this. So you mentioned the word clone. I have a feeling that maybe there are good clones. Would that be fair to look at? I wonder if some of the people around President Trump are maybe good clones, maybe for their own protection, or just a clone character. I mean, if we go into kind of the Star Trek realm, if you're a leader of the world and the universe, and you know, bringing light from darkness, you probably would have, you know, a number of an army, if you needed to, of maybe, you know, clones you can totally rely on. You know, if you're going to do quantum technology, I'm assuming maybe there's a possibility that some of them may be clones, but they're good clones and they're just really advocates for the movement and for President Trump and the alliance. I wonder if that is a fair question, a fair thing to look at.
We got a soft yes on that. So there's probably more to it. There's probably not just good clones, but there's also neutral and bad clones. That's the feeling I'm getting. Some of the clones actually end up being very disappointing. So that's interesting. I don't know how that happens. Okay. And and some of the clones are really don't know what's going on. They're kept in the dark and maybe just working out some program they have, or some like they had a mission and they just do their mission. And so they're neutral. I would call those neutral. But some of them, I think, have actually even gone rogue with that card there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rogue One, Attack of the Clones, Star Wars has been telling us. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Going back to the numbers on this year that we're in. So 2023, you can drop the 0. I mean, you can keep it open, but you can drop the 0. Also, actually, 2023, that's a 20 and a 23. You add it together is 43. That comes to March, comes to book, it comes to Mark, comes to wife, comes to a few things, but March, and that's the month that we're in, and that's the one we're talking about. But if you do 223, so you drop the 0, that comes to Donald Trump's storm. It also comes to silver revaluation, and it comes to Donald Trump awakening, and it also comes to silver, gold, the reset or the exchange as well. It comes to that. So I'm just wondering, in terms of the markets, are we going to see more movement, imminently with precious metals, or is it going to be kind of more of a gradual process, as a lot of things have been?
So precious metals look like they were already revalued, and the hermit, and it's been held, or they're being held in a certain position because, with the advice of the wisdom of, this is a galactic helper, so otherworldly or other dimensional helper. And there's the world card, so off-world, other dimensional. For some reason, I feel like that's been kept from us. It's karmic, and these are all major arcana. This is insanity. Okay, so it's part of the war. The war, like, they've had to keep it a secret what it's really worth and what it's going to go to. Okay, because of the war, basically, the war we're in. It's karmic and necessary, and hidden. It's been hidden. I would say all of these things have revalued by the next water sign month. Okay,
when would
so
that be?
we just went, aren't we just going in? So we're in a water sign, and the next one would be July. Or actually late June. Yes, late June. So I think it'll happen, and they're timing it, and good guys are in charge of it now. But I know it's been manipulated for years by the bad guys in the Fed and the gangster bankers and all of those guys.
You mentioned earlier, Janine, along the same thing of the money markets. You said there needs to be one more thing for it all to kind of go. So I was looking yesterday at something with Patrick Bet David, and I think actually we'll look at Patrick Bet David. I think he's a white hat. He's very pro-Trump. Can we look at that question actually? Is Patrick Bet David, is he a white trap? Not white trap. Is he a white hat? That might have been a slip. Hopefully that's not. But is he a white hat?
If he is, he got forced to be.
Okay.
Yeah, they wrestled him into it. Like, he wasn't for a long time.
The slip of the tongue happened, it told us.
Yeah. I think he got forced to be, let's say he got capitulated.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now fully on board and doing what needs to be done. Okay. So he was showing a graph on his podcast the other day, and they were showing
the Silicon Valley Bank, and then all these other ones that seem to be in far worse trouble. But then the peculiar thing is, right at the end is it JP Morgan or Morgan? I think is it JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley? The one that is shorting the silver and has been doing for a while. It's one of those. It's Morgan. It's one of the Morgan banks.
I can't remember which one. Yeah.
It's one of those, but that was right at the end of the list, and they were saying that looks like the safest thing. But I'm wondering what you're talking about when you're saying, did you say July?
Or late June, because the time of the next water sign, which would start on June 20th or 21st, depending.
Okay. Well, President Trump's birthday is June 14th. June is 50, which is Donald. But then you go into, if it drags into July, July is 68, which is the word Morgan. And I'm wondering if that would be maybe that final thing that you said, a big thing needs to happen. I don't know if that goes under. It seems to be that would then, I don't know how they would keep the shorts in place. It seems like they would lose their shorts, literally. I think that's the card we got before on it.
Yeah, they're like, this is one thing left to happen before, and like, this is a whole lot of hiding and manipulating. They're just manipulating. I think they already did go under.
Okay.
I think they did. I've been reading on those banks for so long, and it looks like a lot of them already, they're just faking you out. That they've been moving over. Some of them agreed to and some of them didn't agree to, but they've been moving over to a new system the whole time. And a lot of people write me and they've asked their bankers and they've point blank asked, and they get really weird answers. And some of them even nod and say, yes, we're moving to a new system. We're learning it. It's been in play for a while, and I believe it's the good gold-backed system that's coming. That's what I get anyway. I keep getting there's something went on and was created and is coming up and under, and it's even been working alongside maybe the other one for quite a while. And the banks are in on it and they sign NDAs to not talk about it. But some of them have told people now. I get lots of people writing me, telling me. It's really interesting.
So that's interesting, because I saw a little clip today. I didn't even get to watch the whole thing, but I saw the headline of it, and they were basically saying that to protect the normal people, the good people, the majority of the human race are just, good people trying to get by, that they're going to somehow be protected. So when all this goes on, almost like maybe individual cyber attacks on accounts and banks that need to go, then the public that don't need to suffer, there might be some periods of kind of drought, like you say, for a few days or a few weeks or a month or whatever. But in the long run, this back system that you're talking about would be covering everything that needs to, bad ones need to go, they'll go, but the good people will be protected, or even the indifferent people, but the ones that aren't doing harm, there you go, ace. Yeah.
I got the ace when you were saying that. And then justice, and it has something to do with karmic justice. It's astrological, it's karmic and just. We're not meant to be we're going into the age of Aquarius, and I think a lot of it aligns with what's meant to be, not just what the white hats are doing, the alliance are doing. I think that's where the spiritual element comes in, and a lot of people liken it to prophecies, and I don't follow Christian prophecies or other prophecies of other people. Frankly, I just look at the cards, and they definitely say something's been put in place in the back channel. It's not going to make it perfect. Like, there's going to be work to do on everybody's part, and there's going to be some short-term pain, like where it looks like everybody lost, or big haircuts come if you got X amount and over in your bank account and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because they need to show you what these people have been up to. They need to show you what they could do to you if you kept giving away your power. The problem with the human race is we all got to learn to stop giving away our power to medical systems. It's like we got lazy. Letting some doctor, you have no idea who they are and who trained them, be in charge of your children's health, your health. We got to take more responsibility for our health, our food intake, how we eat. We don't just go to some fast food place, out a window comes something that's supposed to be food. We could be being poisoned, which we have been. You know what I mean? Like everything, all the systems have been rigged against us because we let them. So we have to stop letting that happen. We have to look at everything and dismantle it. It has to all get dismantled. That's why this is taking so long. That's why this is hard, but it's going to change things forever. And we're never going to do this again.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So going back to the whole thing with the markets and how it's been changed already, but it's, you know, they're just showing us what needs to be shown at the moment. So XRP, one of the Ripple coin, the one that mentioned in the bit that Piers Morgan did. So there's a friend of mine, Ben Greer, and he's a truther, but he's kind of a bit more in the background. But I think circumstances might bring him more out on videos. He's been on the President Trump birthday video with us before, but he's really good on XRP. He knows lots of stuff about it. Anyway, this week, and it's amazing because things come to the people that kind of have almost earned the right to share it. So he just really knows XRP. Any questions I've got, I'd go to Ben. So if you're listening, you'll be watching this, buddy. So good thumbs up to you. Anyway, he got a screenshot for literally 30 seconds where it showed that XRP was like $23,000+ a coin. So they revalued it, showed in the revalue, and then it changed and went back to normally what it was. But when you added it was 23 something else and something else. But when you added it all up together, he said, I'm being prompted to ask you what the numbers are. So I worked it out and it came to 163. 163 comes to the word 23, or the two words 23, and we're in the year 23. So was that an accurate representation of what XRP will go to? Or has gone to, but we just aren't privy to it yet. There's been a few people throughout this journey that have had kind of screenshots that have flashed up and showed a way larger value than what's publicly shown. But Ben got this gift this week.
Wow. So see that, did it go down unexpectedly at some point here in the last year or even after Christmas?
Not sure, it might have done. I mean, so when we first kind of learned about it back in 2020, it was low, then it went up. And then there's a point where it came down, and it's kind of close to what it was back in 2020. Yeah. But maybe a little higher, but not way, it's a lot lower than it was anyway.
I feel like somebody was secretly, or some organization were secretly trying to, on the sly, take it out. Because this card was upside down when I first grabbed it, and I don't usually read upside down, but all of my cards were right side up before I came on the show. So I would note that, so I feel like nefarious entities in the background trying to take that Ripple out. And then this card, so now it's safe. And something's been done in the background of it. So something we don't know about. See that 4 underneath? Something we don't know about. So it's presenting one way, but something else is going on with it, which kind of makes sense. And we don't get to know about it for about 2. That could be days or weeks. So it's not really, it seems to me it's not presenting honestly. And it's because it's been manipulated on the sly here. Okay. And it's like it's part of the war. It feels like it's involved in, it's like, I feel like the financial system, we're now in the part of the war, I guess, where the financial system's the biggest target right now. And they're like, it's this big arm wrestle over how it exactly goes down, because everybody's got an agenda there. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that was very clear, but that's what I got.
Ben Greer 74, which comes to his name 74, comes to Gematria, comes to tarot. I wonder if so maybe drill into that a little bit more. Was that a flash maybe of future things to come with XRP? Was that like kind of a reward of faith with Ben's work with XRP? Was that was there an accurate flash of future things with that?
So that's a total turnaround and destined.
Yeah.
And we've got the 5, so that's hold up. So it even could have happened already, but there's been, because it's part of the war, it's been that's held up. And so I feel like some work has to be done. They still have to wrestle some people to get that to happen, but that's a real potential here. because that's a destiny card. And then we've got the Magician. So if it works out in the war effort, okay, I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like that could happen, but it's not promising it will.
Okay.
So there's that one is still a work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's got to do with, it's literally involved in some tussle right now.
Okay. It's interesting. You said the Magician, but if you do a Magician's 57, Tesla, human, sleep. So when we sleep, kind of get into, we heal through Tesla, our own DNA. But a Magician is 58, which is XRP, which is the kind of the other name for the Ripple coin that we're discussing. So that's interesting that popped up. So there was another question I had in relation to that, but it's popped out of my head right now. Let's look at, oh, I know. So right now, well, last week, maybe last week or 10 days ago, there was a video that you shared with everyone and we saw it. I can't remember the lady's name, but I think she's a blonde lady, maybe from Australia. She seemed quite new, but it kind of went kind of mini viral. She was talking about, I think the 17th of March.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And how big things could happen.
Yeah.
Are there any updates on that? Any thoughts or intuitions or any reveals on the cards of what are we going to see anything kind of super duper public today, or is it more kind of movement in the background on
She
what that
was a
lady was bringing?
decoder. She was a Q decoder. Yeah. And she was just using her decode methods, and she came up with this whole sequence of events.
Yes.
That's an unnecessary stress card. So worrying unnecessarily. So that could be an event that's going to be really stressful, could happen.
Yeah.
It looks like we're sitting right there, some kind of stressful event within 4. So when I looked at her information, she might be days away from, so there could be an event. And I think she does mention that, a big event that's not real, but it'll look real and it'll start a lot of things happening. Okay, but it could be 4, and let's hope that's days away. Okay. And not weeks or months, but 4. So I feel like she's close, but I didn't get the thing about those Q decoders. I don't think Q is going to tell us exactly what day, even in their codes. I think they're going to mislead the date just because, on purpose, because the bad guys are also decoding those things. So I don't feel like I don't think we'll ever know exactly the date. I think it'll always be wrong if somebody claims it's going to be that date.
Yeah. Mark Atwood was getting stuff on the rods with that. So this big event, he kept asking the question, is there going to be like a nuclear, scare event? And he kept, is there anything on that? Do we see anything with that maybe coming or
I
days
always
away?
get, if it is a nuclear scare event, it is literally a scare event, as I literally don't get nuclear is an issue. I get it was taken out off the table some time ago, but let's have a look. But that's, like I said, just what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And then we had Juan O'Savin on, when did we had him on last night? I think it was on the War Correspondent Rumble show, Jean-Claude and I.
Oh yeah.
And he was mentioning a dirty bomb event. He's going back to that because that was a scenario tossed around. Well, it's definitely going to be an event that could be shocking and look like it could cause a lot of destruction right at the last minute. Doesn't, but it'll look really scary there for a while. So as a scary event, yeah, absolutely. And it'll out a lot of these guys. So it would have been their plan. So they're going to emulate a plan of the dark hats, let's say. They're going to emulate that, but right at the last minute get stepped away. And so this could absolutely be as big as, because these are really nasty cards to come in the same reading. So as big as a nuclear scare. I know there's so many you could think of, but it'll look
Mhm.
like the world's going to end is what that looks like.
Huh. Do you get any kind of time scale on that, like days or weeks or months?
Okay, we're really close here. Okay, but tarot's version of really close is they're working on it. It says there's certain things we're
Okay.
you're 80% there here when you get that card. And then this ace, 80% too. And it's going to be very creative how they do it. It's going to
Okay.
be very creative, which leads me to believe also this is a water card. So the event might affect water or affect somehow oceans or
Huh.
so the whole watch the water comes into play here
Yeah.
because that is a cup card, but it's also very emotional. So it could be, I mean, obviously something really scary is very emotional.
Yes.
And but then there's creativity to it, which could be that a lot of it could be actually CGI,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's a creative card. So they're going to use creative means to create the scare. I get it's a scare event, but I don't get it's literal. And so
Okay.
people get mad when you say scare event. They think you're trying to scare them. No, if you know something's a scare event, that gives you the heads up to not
Yeah.
be scared. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Use your
Exactly.
common sense. It makes sense. Like if I was saying, oh, an event's going to happen and it's, take out the whole world. Now I'm scaring you. Scare event literally says this is going to be scary for some people who aren't in the know. So far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing to be talking about.
Well, it's interesting you say scare event, Janine, because scare is actually 46, which is best. It's also dove. So depending on people's perception and their consciousness and where they're at, it could be really scary for people.
Yep.
But also for people that are awake, it'll be like, hallelujah, it's like, here
Yeah.
it comes, and they can see the truth of it. So
Totally.
that could be totally what it is. And a scare event is 113, which is universe, but it's also trumpet. So it could be that it could be something that unites everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, a scare event is 113 trumpet universe. Yes. So there was I had what was it? I had a question that I was going to ask about, and it's popped out of my head.
Look at this when you said trumpet. Judgment card is literally the waking up of the dead here. And we know that sleepers are like the dead.
Yeah.
You're like, really? You guys aren't getting any of this? Yeah. So they're waking up the dead with this trumpeter. I find that really interesting on so many levels.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, like, isn't that a British symbol there?
That's it. That's the English flag. And English.
Okay. English.
Is 74 gematria, but England is 57, which is sleep. So when you say sleep,
they're waking
flag,
from the dead. They're waking from their slumber of not knowing. This is a wake-up call. And it's definitely going to be like a wake-up call for sure.
Yeah. And waking is doves, which is 65. Waking up, let's have a look. Waking up the dead. Waking up the dead comes to 149, which is Kingdom of Heaven. Huh. Do get the trumpets out. I know what my question was. So President Trump, I think it was on that event in Iowa that he did on Monday, and he talked about, because he did a Q&A, which was interesting. I'm sure probably the Q&A, well, who knows? Maybe it was just random people, but I'm sure they had inspired, questions. But one of them, he was asked about such and such, and he said, it's all down to energy. He basically, because energy is 74. So 74 is gematria, 74 is tarot, 74 is Jesus, Messiah, Muhammad, English, the language you're talking about, when we do the cards and the numbers, DeLorean, the time machine in Back to the Future. But he said, basically everything will be solved when the energy is solved. So he's talking at one level, you get the energy crisis sorted out and everything will follow. But I thought about that and I was like, is he saying, and it felt like it, if we're in this lower density here in the 3D world, and we've got to deal with the you know, the things of life that can kind of wear away at us. If we have unlimited energy in a practical sense through Tesla technology and other technologies, but also if we have our full capacity of energy, if you have limitless energy, you could basically do anything. You'd be a superhero, you could be godlike, you could do anything. Was he referencing that? Was he saying once the energy problem is sorted out, everything comes from energy, basically. Everything is repaired and remedied through energy. So when you rectify the energy deficiency, then everything is done. That's what I felt when he was saying that.
Interesting. I'm getting some of what he was saying was the energy, the negative energy on the earth plane leaves.
Yeah, very good.
Or maybe how they've manipulated the energy. So that could tie into what you're saying. So this is like the deep state and all those other words that we can't say on YouTube's card, right?
Yeah.
That KM bunch. And then we've got leaves. So he's saying once we get these guys off the negative energy source, because they've been tapping and utilizing and pillaging us, right? So that's in the past. So they've been there and they're leaving, because that's the transformational card. It'll transform everything. Ooh, I just saw a big flash go by in the back there. It looked almost like a fairy. Someone will probably slow it down. Right behind me.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, no. Yeah, I did. Yeah, there was some. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think they're agreeing, but here we've got, that's slowly but surely they've been taking this down, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Things get way better. That's a transformational card. It's hard to look at, and you can't go back. When you start this process, there's no going back. This is going to happen.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And then, like, I feel like that's what he was talking about too.
It's interesting you say that as well, Janine, because I know, I mean, the numbers, there's always a positive and a negative to it. So this will lead on to two parts of the question, or observation. So when you pulled up that, bad card, so we're talking about energy, and you've said, well, the energy, the bad energy leaving, guess what a version for bad energy is? Lucifer. So Lucifer is also 74, which is energy. It's the same as Jesus. So it's like there's all, they marry up. They know all numbers are intrinsically powerful and good once you strip away the dark and the light, but they go for the same ones. So the real powerful numbers, get a sister or a mirror image. So when you said about the bad energy leaving, Lucifer is 74. One of the prophecies is that the millennium period, Satan or Lucifer has to be bound for 1,000 years. And if you bind him or it or them, then you don't have that evil energy. So that might be what President Trump was pushing as well when he was saying that. But Lucifer, this is a question. So I wanted to ask Mark about this with the rods a few weeks ago, but I'll ask you, is there a connection between, so Lucifer and Jesus, are they, I think you spoke to Mark about this, actually. I think because I was going to ask him and then I heard you talk about it. So are they, biblical terms, they talk about them being kind of brothers, but are they, is Lucifer, is he a necessary thing for this whole construct? Whatever this thing of life that we're in, the opposite, the negative energy, is he a vital component for us to go through and to experience, which kind of validates the whole point of being here on Earth, to get stronger, to be tested, to develop characteristics, to get strong and experience things,
Well, think about it. If you didn't have dark, you wouldn't know what light looked like you wouldn't have a perspective to understand. Also, you wouldn't appreciate what you have till you don't have it, or someone tries to take it away, or like you can't appreciate what a good deed is if you never had bad deeds done to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's all a balance. So even the high priestess in the tarot deck has the white pole and the black pole, because both are necessary energies to be here on the earth plane. So the whole thing is a balance, and that's exactly, so they're soul connected. They probably were brothers,
Yeah.
We're one of the same, like sort of energy, but then one split off and went one way and the other. So they made choices.
Mhm.
Okay. And they're working it out. It's like they've got karmic work to do together, just like we come together with karmic soul connected others. And they're not always, so soul connections aren't always good. Some of them are really bad ones, and we have to find balance in them. Like some of our bosses have been, I mean, I've worked for myself most of my life, so I can't speak from personal experience, but a lot of people would come in for readings and they'd have a terrible boss at their job, but it was always like some big lesson. They were trying to learn not to be under the thumb of that boss, not to be repressed by them, to speak up, because otherwise they wouldn't. Like if everything was just nice here, okay,
Yeah.
and all nicey nice, okay, would you even know what you had, first of all, appreciate it? And I'm going to be honest, whenever back in the day when I used to read cards for people, whenever somebody would talk me into a free reading, okay, because talk me into not exchanging energy for what I do, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
of fair energy, they never took the reading seriously. Okay. It's like,
Yeah.
if somebody does something for you and it's out of the goodness of their heart, sometimes it's not appreciated. And I'm not saying don't do good deeds out of the goodness of your heart, but these would be strangers that would give me a big sob story and they couldn't pay and blah, blah. And then they would just be back at doing whatever they were doing. When you watched, it's always better to have an energy exchange, and dark and light is like an energy exchange.
Yes.
Okay. And you learn from it and you are pitted against something and you become stronger. And that's how human egos work. You know what I mean? And souls evolve, and we couldn't evolve without that dark energy. And maybe we're going to get some reprieve from it because it's been overriding for thousands of years here, taking it back. Like we've been on the, you know what, end of that. And I feel like that thousands of years of good, better, and like the golden times coming and whatever, that's just a good karmic. We need a break maybe from that, right? Because we've been working really hard and we're learning some big lessons right now. Then you get a break, and then some more stuff happens and you got to deal with it. Yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. That's so true about energy exchange, because I remember that there's years ago when I first wanted to go self-employed or something, I went to this coaching course and I didn't really learn anything on it other than to get a business card and that you could actually charge for people to go on a course, and there were 60 people in the room and they'd all paid the same amount. It wasn't cheap at the time, but I remember it. And I've been on other things, and you go along and you pay your money, or you might go on a free seminar or something and you don't really remember it. But the one that I do remember is the one that I paid top dollar for. And I only learned 2 things, but I remember it. So it's so true. It's so true, you know. And you get people saying, "Oh, do your, reading." I get people sending me emails wanting me to do their numbers and everything else. But that's a really good and valid point. And President Trump's all for that, you know. He's always making deals. His exchange of value. It's like, well, there's always an exchange, and it's an important. We're in this world right now, and that is a real thing. That's a real parameter of what goes on, and so we have to live by that and obey that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, it's a very valid point.
On that note, I got a scoot.
Yes, well, it's been great doing stuff with you today, Janine. Can you do you want to tell everyone where people can find you and what stuff you've got going on?
But you can find me on Rumble, The Beyond Mystic, Thursdays at 4 Eastern. There's a great show. We call it the War Correspondent Show, and we all often have guests. In fact, Boise's been a guest, so Ricardo Boise a couple of times. And then we had Juan O'Savin last night on it. I also do a Rumble quick pick on the Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. So I do a quick pick where I look at 2 different things that are going on in the news recently, or just cool things. Sometimes it's just something that seems like a really cool thing to pull on and is somehow valid in the, what we're doing right now. Okay, so that's on, and that's just quick and fast, and that's a 20-minute. And that one's on Tuesdays, so Quick Pick Tuesdays. And then I'm on the TBJ website. So that's use the long-term, you know who by, you know,
Yeah.
tbj.com.
DBJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
DBJ.
Yeah. Good.
Excellent.
Thanks.
I think I'm going on with Jean-Claude at some point soon as well.
Oh,
said,
awesome.
that would be fun. Yeah.
Good.
So
Yeah,
that would be
right.
cool. I look forward
Yeah.
to that. And I'll put the links below.
Yeah.
And everyone make sure they're subscribed to Janine and Jean-Claude on Rumble.
Yeah.
Check out the tvj.com. Subscribe to Tom Number Show and Psych Club. And also, I was going to point this out to people. So this is a device I've been using, which is a laser device. It's really helpful. There's
Wow.
the MirrorMate product, and there's also Spooky 2 product, the Rife machines. But they're very popular. People really enjoy it. They get a lot of value. I've been using it, and I can definitely say I've been noticing a difference this week. So anyway, thanks, Janine. God bless you. See you soon. Thanks, everyone. Subscribe, and we'll see you soon.